What's up, guys? This is Stevan and I'm here with a tier list. Today, I'm going to be doing wrestling ties. So in wrestling, there's hundreds of moves like I've said before, but in wrestling ties, there's only a select amount of ties you can get it to. When you slap hands, you shake hands with your opponent, you're only going to have so much to do. This tier list, it's going to be a little harder to dive into moves that don't work as much because anyone can make ties work because you can create a lot of offense, you can create a lot of action and different moves from those ties, which is the cool thing about wrestling, right? We're able to kind of be our own individual and master and perfect certain things that make us more unique than anyone else. So let's get into it, guys. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, and notification bell is on. Oh, and today we got the winner of the ONEV giveaway. I've done the drawing, randomly selected is and it goes to Luke Laturco. I'm gonna message you and I'll get you that hoodie. In my tier list, like I said earlier, it's very difficult to distinguish something that's gonna say bad because I do think even though there are some ties and controls I lean towards than others, I definitely think it's difficult to say anything's bad because in wrestling, it's awesome that you can make anything work for you if you specialize in it and you take that. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you special in the sport of wrestling, and I love that. So we just have it kind of basic as C, B, A, and S. S being the highest, C being the lowest, but doesn't mean anything. It's just kind of more probability of like getting in the position, how effective it is to get. I'm looking at a couple different things to judge this, right? So I'm looking at first, how easy is it to get the control? How long am I gonna be able to hold that control? How much offense am I gonna generate from it? And last, how defensive and how safe am I from other attacks? So that's kind of what I'm gonna look at today. All right, so first up, we got the collar tie. The classic, the collar tie. Grabbing a head, boom, right here. Forearm in the collar. This move is pretty simple and self-explanatory. I think this move probably goes into A. You could give it an S because it's so common and it's pretty easy to get someone's head and grab them in a collar tie. It's very difficult to like over and over being able, even if the guy pushes you off of you, even if the guy clears out, it's easy to get back to the head and it's going to be difficult to not get it. However, I wouldn't give it an S just for the fact of like it's sometimes hard to do things. You have to really create a lot of action from the collar tie, and it's one of my favorite controls that I use, but you have to really step up the tempo to be able to actually move the head. Hanging in a collar tie, I also give it points for being able to block people out and not give up any attacks, because with a collar tie, for the most part, you can really, suffocate someone when you're strong. However, also, if you can get sloppy with a collar tie. If you let your elbow up too high, you can get counterattacked or attacked done. So I'm moving it to A. All right, underhook. This one's going to be tough. So underhook, this tie is really special. I think it's one of the power controls. I have a couple power controls that I'm going to list in here that are going to give extra bonus points. The underhook is definitely a power control if you get it in deep enough. The thing that's hard about the underhook, and it's why it's hard for me to rate it, is because it's very difficult to hold an underhook for a really long period of time against somebody good. They're usually going to be squeezing down, whizzing away, or popping and clearing their hand backwards. So I'm going to give, since it's a power control, I'm going to probably move this up higher. I'm not a guy who uses underhooks very often, but I have a couple positions where I do like an underhook. So I'm going to move that to, I'm going to move it to S tier just for the fact of it's harder to get to, but when you get it and you can control it, Yazdani is amazing at the underhook. Aaron Brooks also has a very good underhook. Alex Daringer has an insane underhook to his high crotch. So you can create a lot of offense. You can really tire the guy down, wear him down, push him around the mat with an underhook. So I'm going to give it S tier. All right, overhook. So now the opposite. Overhook is a very difficult move to master, or a lot of people would count this as a whizzer, because if a guy gets this in, most of the time they're going to be leaning into the guy. But I'm probably going to put the overhook as probably a B or a C tier move, and not because of the move's effects, because Buvasar Saitiev specialized in overhook, and he's the best wrestler in freestyle wrestling. 6-time world champion, 3-time Olympic champion, and he could wrestle in an overhook. Now, how effective it is and how disciplined he was to know what he was doing from there, because he could out-wrestle his opponents. If I tell most wrestlers to get somebody in an overhook with the other person having an underhook on me, most of the guys with the overhook are going to lose the position and get taken down. So that's why I'm going to have to rate it as the C tier move. Like I said, that's what makes this list special, because all of these moves can work at a high level. Next, we got wrist control. I think wrist control is a simple one. I'd probably give this B for the fact being, yeah, you can grab someone's wrist, but it's such a small part of the person's body that there's a lot of, my dad likes to call it fiddling, moving your hand back and forth. It's almost like you're playing a fiddle. We're constantly hand fighting and touching each other, slapping each other's wrists, and not much is happening. So it's hard to get someone's wrist a lot in a match. But when you do get it, you can set up a lot of drags. You can build up into other ties like your 2-on-1, or you can, there's other attacks you can hit off the wrist, single legs, wrist snaps. That's really great, but it's tough to get, especially on a good wrestler, to fight for wrist wrist control. So I'm going to move that to B. The next tie is a reverse wrist. So instead of now grabbing like a baseball grip, like just 4, a reverse wrist is where you do C grip and you go thumb down and grab. Now, I think that this is a better control than the regular wrist control, and it's something that I do. I learned this from Arsene Fadzaev, which is in the photo I use. Reverse wrist is basically just, turning your hand down, but this helps because when I want to shoot, my hand actually beats the inside to my single leg attack, and it also helps block as well. Your elbow stays out a little bit wider, so when you're in, it's very difficult to get arm dragged from a reverse wrist. So for me, I'm going to move that above that. I'm going to still keep it next to wrist, but I'm going to put it in the B tier above that. All right, next we got front headlock. So front headlock, I would probably say is A. It could be B, but I'm gonna give front headlock A for the fact being is that, like, look, you can really score from a front headlock. You can be really good in a front headlock, pulling people down. So it's effective, and I think like the amount of times that people get in it through high school level, front headlocks score a lot offensively. But then and even in college it happens. But as you go further and further along, front headlock offense gets significantly harder at the world level, significantly harder. Most good wrestlers, what makes them good is the ability not to get scored on when their hands are on the mat. So a good wrestler, to be able to compete for world medals or even be able to qualify for these tournaments, most guys aren't getting scored on in front headlocks because I can have a good shot recovery. So that's why I don't give it any higher than A unless you're a master of the front headlock, and there are some guys, chest lock included. I didn't add chest lock, but I'll put that in the same as front headlock. So that's A tier. All right, next, the post, okay? The thumb block or post. Okay, for me, now this isn't like considered a power control because I'm not controlling the person, but this is the best negating control and negate, like be able to negate your opponent and stop them from doing anything. High level thumb block and post can really suffocate somebody. Like, Nick Suriano probably has one of the best thumb blocks in the world. He hasn't, done maybe the things that other wrestlers have done outside of being an NCAA champion on the senior level in freestyle. He can keep any match close, and he can stop the best guys in the world from scoring on him. He's that good with the thumb block, and there's many other good wrestlers. Every world-class wrestler has a thumb block in their arsenal. They're able to recover, they're able to post and block opponents out and use their thumb blocks. For me, a thumb block can be something very, very dangerous and very, very effective at the highest level. And honestly, I'm probably going to put that at 1. So the better you are at using your thumb blocks, and obviously not flaring your elbows, are tight inside, posting, be able to switch hands, feel your distance. Now, it is a defensive tie. That is its weakness, I would say. Is it's very difficult to generate offense, and you can get sloppy if you just keep reaching your hand up. But most of the best guys have a sense of discipline with this, so that's why I'm putting thumb block up there as S tier. Next, we got inside tie. Now, inside tie is pretty much like the most basic tie in wrestling that goes besides collar tie, except I'm probably going to put inside tie as a B tier or even C tier. I don't want to give it like any disrespect for saying it's a C tier because so many wrestlers use it. It's also a position that has, being an inside tie, you have to be extremely tight here. There's a lot of good wrestlers that have an amazing, amazing inside tie. I know Spencer Lee does, Austin DeSanto. These guys are very, very good with the inside tie. A lot of guys who like those firearm carries or fireman's carries, very good here. So I'm probably going to give it B, to be honest, above wrist, because I think it could even move to, I might even move it to A just because, like, end of A, because I understand the number of people who can get in here, but it's easy to get, this position it's hard to stay disciplined in because it requires a amount of strength and position and downness with it. So I'll give it the end of A just because of how common it is and it works. Okay, seatbelt. Now this is pretty much underhook but progress to the next level. I think the seatbelt is an amazing position. I'm going to give it an S tier above the underhook because I think it's even better than the underhook because there's so much, the defending guy whizzering and leaning away, he can't do. He's not going to be able to defend that, and it's something that can really create a lot of strength to wear my opponent out, and I can score if I have a series from there. Especially in freestyle when the guy has to go down to a knee and try to get grounded. A seatbelt is always there. And for me, it's better than underhook because it's a lot more difficult to escape than an underhook is. So I'm going to have to give it above that, but I'm still putting it behind the post because I just know how good the post is. All right, next one, double overs. Double overs, I'm probably going to have to put at the bottom just because it's very hard to get a throw. I mean, there's some guys who can do a double over inside trip or a throw. Yeah, guys who can go upper body love this, but it's such a dangerous position because I think the guy with the double unders has a significant advantage. So that goes to D or C tier. Elbow control. I love elbow control. You guys know that. That's like something that I specialize in. Elbow control is kind of like one of those moves that it's not seen as often as maybe other ties, but it's so good because someone's going to grab you with an inside tie and someone's going to grab you with a collar tie. That's like 90% or 95% wrestlers do that. So being able to just grab an elbow from there and find offense is great. Plus, it's it's extremely good once you learn how to hold this and keep it in tight and not get snapped down, because the only weakness really from the elbow control is being pulled underneath you, because obviously you have nothing to hold yourself up. You know, for me, mastering staying up and not getting snapped down in elbow control is like literally like a cheat code for me, and it's something that's got me such a high level. It's the reason why I've become a world champ, how I've made gains post-college on the senior level. So for me, elbow control is a big one, and some of the best wrestlers are very good in it. You just don't see it much. You've got myself, Elbrus Tadiev, Olympic gold medalist and world champion from Ukraine, John Smith, a lot of other guys that like to use elbow. They're able to use some type of ankle picks. You know, I know Romanov from 2016 Olympic gold from Russia. He had a nice elbow drop to a high crotch, beautiful textbook attack. So elbow is just a great control to use. So I'm gonna put it up here. I'm gonna put it up here in this tier. For the rareness effect, I could probably put it at S tier, but I'm probably being biased, to be honest with you guys. I would get post. I just don't. Post is such a defensive move. So for me, I'm gonna go with elbow first. Okay, 2-on-1. So the 2-on-1 is, you know, also known as the Russian tie, an amazing control. It's another one of those power controls. However, I think it's very difficult because it's a very overwhelming move. You have to just kind of wear down your opponent with, being able to take it off, and you have to be able to strike quickly because the guy's gonna be posting on your head, dropping back, moving around. And I think that 2-on-1 can be difficult to hold. I actually think it's an amazing control to get a 2-on-1 on someone when you're winning a match with short time, because it's very difficult for your opponent to do anything. I don't know. I'm kind of split between this. I don't want to give it an S tier because I think that the more that wrestling's evolving in the future, it's very difficult to find more offense, while the underhook kind of has withstood the test of time. So I'm going to probably move it into the A tier behind the inside control. I just find it hard to get offense. And now it is a son of a bitch to get out of if a guy has a strong, grippy 2-on-1. So that's, you know, it is exhausting for the guy. So, but I'm still going to give it an A tier. Double overs, body lock. This move, if you get a body lock, it should be night-night for the opponent. You should be throwing them to their back, bear hugging them, whatever that is. But to get the difficulty of getting a bear hug position on somebody is so difficult, especially if your opponent doesn't want to go upper body. So I have to give it down here. I'm probably going to leave it above overhook and double overs in the C tier, just because it's so difficult to get into a body lock on somebody and go upper body. I think you're going to more often be in a position where I'm talking about next. The over-unders. Over-unders is way more seen in wrestling. It's probably the most like position that then goes upper body because it's a 50-50 split. One guy's got an overhook, or one guy's got an underhook, the other guy's got an overhook, and vice versa. We're pummeling here. We're trying to fight for position. I can defend here. I can also try to attack. I can try to throw. I give the over-unders higher up. I'm probably going to give it up here in the B tier because it's also in the throwing category. I've ranked the throws down a little bit lower just because, yes, they're high amplitude. You get more exposure from them, but it's like they're not as common positions for the most part, and it's a lot harder to get to. High risk, high reward. And the over and under, I'm going to have to put it in the B tier. Now, I like to defend there, and I know what to do there, but for the most part, I'm trying to get the hell out of there if I feel someone who's good. You know, a lot of these Mongolian guys like Tumor Ochir, he's very good in this. Amuzad Khalili, the world champion from Iran. These are just two guys that are just phenomenal here. And I mean, they were able to storm and take out all these 65 kilo world champs and world medalists just because how good they were in the over-under position. So I think last one, we've got the over tie. So the over tie is pretty much when a guy has a collar tie on you and they just put their hand over top on top. For me, it's not my favorite one because I think that you can ingrain bad habits and be sloppy. Now, there are some guys that are phenomenal with the over tie, and they know how to hold the guy down. They know how to keep their elbow disciplined and strong. They can feel the guy under them. But most of the time, when you just slap up an over tie, it can be dangerous for yourself because it's hard to feel your opponent be able to drop underneath you. You have to hold really good positioning and stance. Now, there are some guys that can hit nasty slide-bys, nice drop underneath single legs. It's, for the most part, I think it's pretty difficult. So I'm going to probably move this to the B position, end of B. All right, guys, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed my list. Let me know what I missed on some ties. I probably missed a few. Let me know what your favorite tie is. Remember, wrestling is a special sport because it's about being an individual and being able to do any of these ties to your best ability that can work on anybody in the world. So that's it for today, guys. World champs and everything we do, baby. Let's go. Number 1.